The new episode opens with historical exposition. Long ago, the warriors of China learned martial arts for self-defense, showing a powerful warrior in a classic stance. The exposition explains the evolution of martial arts into a lethal art, focusing on codified forms and breathing techniques to increase internal power. The exposition explains that warriors who mastered the sacred techniques gained superhuman power and were named Murim warriors, showing an explosive display of force. The exposition establishes the social structure. Factions formed as warriors gathered around Murim masters, hoping to become their disciples. The frame defines the core Murim conflict: the righteous faction, righteous path, versus the evil faction, wicked path, visually contrasting the two leaders and their armies. The frame following the righteous and evil factions, the history reveals a third force, equally formidable, but one that pursues a completely different and ruthless path, revering only pure power. A grand, unsettling scene introduces the third faction. Before a vast, purple-red temple stands a silent leader, flanked by guards, facing a huge crowd of devoted followers. This is the power the world names the demonic faction, or the demonic cult. The camera focuses on the back of the solitary leader, his robe billowing against the purple temple. The narrator declares his destiny. This is the story of the illegitimate child of the demon cult who would overtake the patriarch to become the second demon lord. A single eye, filled with determination, pierces through the strands of dark hair covering the face. The tension of battle and new awareness crystallize in his gaze. The scene snaps back to reality. The hero bolts upright in bed, eyes wide with horror. Blood smears his face as he gasps for air in confusion, his body instantly racked by an intense jolt. A warm shaft of morning light floods the room and bathes the hero's face. He slowly lowers his gaze to examine his hands, a bewildered question escaping his lips. Am I alive? But I was stabbed in the stomach. The hero clutches his forehead, his mind clouding with growing panic. A subtle, internal sensation shifts as he whispers, "What happened to me?" He glances down, his gaze filling with confusion. And why am I soaked? Suddenly, a convulsion racks the hero's body, forcing him to heave forward. He begins to cough frantically, the strain tearing through his chest as he spits blood onto the bedding. In horror, his gaze drops to his own hand, which is covered in a strange, sticky, black substance. "What is this black substance?" he exclaims in utter shock, his mind racing to understand. The hero's body is drenched in foul-smelling, sticky goo. Revulsion twists his face. Suddenly, a cold, foreign voice rings in his mind. "Are you up, user?" Shock and disbelief twist the hero's face. "What?" he gasps. The cold, foreign voice immediately repeats itself in his mind, asking, "Are you up, user?" With a frantic leap, the hero instantly jumps out of bed, his eyes frantically scanning the empty room. "WWHO's there?" he yells. His eyes frantically scan the empty room. "I don't see anyone. What is the meaning of this?" he demands. The strange voice coldly commands, "Please calm down, user." The hero strains to listen. He realizes he hears not with his ears, but the sound vibrates directly in his mind. It is an invisible, psychic presence. The hero stares wildly around. Could it actually be coming from my head? The foreign voice coldly confirms, "That's right, user." He yells in final shock. "What?" The young man yells fiercely, demanding an answer. "Just who are you?" The cold, calm voice finally identifies itself. "I am Sky Corp's Gen 7 Nano Machine." The hero breaks into a desperate, furious scream, his face contorted. "I don't understand a word. Who are you and why are you doing this to me?" The hero turns away, stunned. The voice repeats, "I repeat, I am a Gen 7 Nano Machine." He whispers, confused, "Nano Machine?" "That's right." A horrifying realization dawns in his eyes. "Machine," he thinks, shocked. The demonic spirit worshipped alongside the sacred flame. The realization hits him fully. The hero cannot bear the shock, and his bare feet hit the wooden floor with a heavy, resonating. Trembling, the hero crawls on the floor, consumed by terror. He whispers to the voice, "Is it true? Are you really the revered Machine?" Silence follows. The scene abruptly cuts to a bright, sunlit courtyard. A servant guides a respected doctor. "This way, Physician Beck." The physician agrees, "Very well." Physician Beck, stern and focused, clarifies the incident. "So, an assassination attempt." The servant meekly confirms, "Yes, sir." The unnamed, filled with anger, explains that attempts were made before. Yet, to separate him from his master for this brazen attack is shocking. Physician Beck deduces, if they tricked you, Guard Jiang, it could only have been the stealth squad. He adds, it's a miracle that young Master Cheon survived. Guard Jiang explains his failure. Someone assisted the young master, but I have no idea who. Physician Beck questions, someone of your abilities should be able to track them. Guard Jiang falls silent, his face tense with internal struggle. He finally starts his hesitant answer, preparing to reveal the memory. Well, the scene snaps into the memory. Guard Jiang's eyes are wide with terror. He sharply gasps for air, recalling the misty forest setting. In the misty forest, Guard Jiang saw horror. Bodies of the stealth squad lay on the bloody ground, but their upper halves were missing. Amidst the gruesome carnage, Guard Jiang finds a single intact body, covered by a cloak. There was only one whose body was still intact. Guard Jiang sees his dagger, which he had given the young master, plunged into the chest of a masked assassin. Guard Jiang sees his dagger, which he had given the young master, plunged into the chest of a masked assassin. Guard Jiang finds the young master not far from the bodies. He was intact, but had lost immense amounts of blood. The memory culminates in a close-up of the young master's bloodied, near-death face lying on the ground. Guard Jiang recalls the single word, but the dialogue returns to the present. Physician Beck asks, astonished, he had no wounds on his body. Guard Jiang confirms, yes. Guard Jiang concludes, the master's clothes were pierced, yet his body had no scratches. His breathing was stable, as if he were simply sleeping. Physician Beck ponders the helper's identity, ruling out the patriarch. I don't think His Holiness would involve himself in such spats. Guard Jiang agrees. Physician Beck, finding the situation how interesting indeed, orders, let's hurry to the young master's chambers, to examine him. The young master asks, then were you the one that saved me? Oh great Machine. The Nano Machine replies, if you were talking about fighting off the enemies, that would be incorrect. The Nano Machine clarifies its role. However, if you mean self-regenerating to save you from death, that would indeed be me. The young master asks, confused, what does self-regenerating mean? Machine begins to explain, transferring basic information to the user's brain. A spark of confusion, the young master asks, what is a user? The Nano Machine replies, searching for and converting to appropriate historical terminology. The Nano Machine, completing its search, clearly states, Master, I am not the demonic spirit Machine that you speak of. The young master is stunned. What? The voice changed. Not Machine. Then what are? His question is cut short, ending the internal dialogue. The Nano Machine proposes, I can transfer information about myself as well as the basic instruction manual to your brain, Master. The young master agrees. Okay. The transfer occurs. The young master convulses as his eyes flare electric blue. Digital data surges into his brain with crackling and a loud swoosh. The transfer is complete. The young master clamps his hands over his mouth in agony, choking and heaving from the shock and overload. The final act of healing. The young master violently vomits a thick substance onto the floor, purging his body of toxins and completing the data transfer. The Nano Machine explains that vomiting is a common occurrence after the very first information transfer and assures him it won't happen a second time. With final exhaustion, the young master collapses. My head is spinning, wondering, what in the world is this? Acceptance. The young master, regaining his awareness, whispers, Nano Machine. The voice in his head finally confirms, yes, Master. The stunned young man asks about tens of thousands of little machines. The Nano Machine corrects him. There are 6,482,400,000 nanomachines in your body, to be precise. A sigh of final relief. The young master realizes. So it wasn't a human or the Machine after all. The internal struggle is over. The Nano Machine explains it cannot leave his body, as it is programmed to only exit your body if you die. The young master sits on the bed, contemplating that his half-siblings tried to assassinate him and that he has strange machines in his body. The internal scene ends. The young master accepts that he has strange machines in his body, bracing himself for the return to the external world. The external world intrudes. Guard Jiang knocks on the door and announces, Young Master, Physician Beck is here to see you. The startled young master jolts up. What? And commands the Nano Machine. You stay quiet. They'll think something is wrong with me if I talk to a machine. The Nano Machine suggests communicating through thoughts only. The young master agrees. That's fine. Now be quiet. The Nano Machine, muting myself temporarily. The door creaks open. Guard Jiang and Physician Beck enter. Assuming the young master is still asleep, and decide to examine him quietly. Guard Zhang rushes to the bed. Young master, you're awake, anxiously asking, how do you feel? Guard Zhang recoils suddenly, clutching his mouth, overwhelmed by the foul, lingering stench from the young master's purge. The young master sees Guard Zhang clutching his nose, asking, what is this smell, young master? The protagonist realizes, oops, I forgot about the vomit. Physician Beck approaches, closely scrutinizing the young master and frowning in concern, noticing the strange odor that is affecting Guard Zhang. Physician Beck addresses the patient, young Master Cheon. We've met before, yes. The young master replies, yes, physician. You took care of my mother when she was ill. Physician Beck leans over the patient and asks, your hand. Let's check your pulse. It's okay. Give me your hand. Physician Beck places his fingers on the young master's wrist, preparing to check his pulse. He instantly detects a perfect and impossible pulse, contradicting all expectations. Physician Beck's eyes widen in shock at the incredible pulse he feels. He sharply flinches from the realization of the impossible healing. Beck comments worriedly, how very strange. Guard Zhang, agitated. What do you mean, physician? Is there something wrong with the young master? Physician explains that his surprise wasn't due to poor health, but the opposite. Quite the contrary. This is quite felicitous, confirming the patient's perfect state. Physician Beck chuckles and explains, the toxins have left your body and your qi is circulating vigorously. He asks, have you taken some kind of wondrous herb? Guard Zhang looks utterly shocked, while the young master, maintaining his feigned sick look, asks with confusion, what? What do you mean, physician? Physician Beck concludes the examination. Your body is now in the perfect condition to learn martial arts. The young master reacts in shock. What? The young master realizes the link between the healing and the vomit, touching the black sticky substance. Does that mean this black sticky substance are the toxins that came out of my body? The young master internally addresses his savior, asking in wonder, did you do this, Nano Machine? The young master, in a state of shock and excitement, asks the Nano Machine, will you unmute? The Nano Machine replies, yes, followed by unmuting. The Nano Machine explains that it removed the toxins distributed throughout the body and converted blood vessels, tendons, and muscles to an optimal athletic state. The Nano Machine explains that it removed the toxins distributed throughout the body and converted blood vessels, tendons, and muscles to an optimal athletic state. The young master looks straight into the frame, his face showing resolve for the first time, and asks the Nano Machine with a smile, you said you're not Machine, but are you sure? The Nano Machine confirms it is not a demonic spirit, stating, yes, I am a machine, not a Machine.